Forget speeches about the war on drugs, human rights, or dictatorship. That is noise. If you want to understand why U.S. carriers surrounded the beautiful Caribbean waters of Venezuela and elite units dragged a dictator president to be judged in Uncle Sam's land, you need to look beyond morality. Look at the map. Welcome to the real world, where destiny is sealed by geography and sovereignty is conditional. The official version is that the invasion happened because the regime had become like a Pablo Escobar franchise, supplying America's streets with weapons of mass destruction, also known as cocaine. It is a beautiful half-truth, because if it were for that, they would have to invade Mexico and China, mainly responsible for the fentanyl flow. That drug has indeed caused beautiful damage in the United States. The ugly truth is the regime fell because it violated the neighborhood's golden rule, the Monroe Doctrine. Since 1823, Washington drew an invisible line around the Western Hemisphere. The rule is simple: America for Americans. Translation: no rival power can park in our backyard.
But Simon, Cuba is communist and a swim away from Florida. Why didn't the Monroe Doctrine take them out?
It's cynical, but simple. Look at the periodic table of power. Venezuela floats on the energy that moves the world. Cuba floats on nostalgia and tobacco leaves. No empire authorizes a D-Day just to secure the world's supply of cigars. They hold what we call the irrelevance pass. As long as they export only ideology, they are safe. But immunity ends the instant the dynamic changes. If China parks a single nuclear sub on Havana's beaches, the island stops being a vintage resort and becomes a radioactive parking lot before you can flick your lighter. Venezuela's eviction only happened now for one reason: they violated this physics. When Venezuela went broke, it committed the geopolitical cardinal sin. It borrowed from the wrong loan sharks. To stay in power, the regime handed control of oil fields and infrastructure to China and Russia as debt collateral. Suddenly, it wasn't about a Latin dictator screaming and doing little dances on TV anymore. It was about Moscow and Beijing controlling the world's largest oil reserve, 3 hours from Miami. This is a perimeter security failure.
So the U.S. isn't dismantling a government drug cartel? They are just kicking enemy countries out of their backyard?
Bingo. Other dictators can replace him. That's not a problem, as long as he is aligned with old MacDonald, who runs this farm called the American continent. We've seen this movie before. The brutal lesson here is about the illusion of sovereignty. Countries rich in natural resources think they can pick their friends. But if you live next to a superpower, you don't have friends. You have an invisible leash. Venezuela tried to change the leash holder, and the old owner reminded them who holds the chain.
So basically, most countries are pawns on someone's board.
Exactly. And chess pieces don't have rights to free will, only movement by the hands of those who control the game. You can change the president, but you can't change the map. The Monroe Doctrine isn't written law. It's a property notice. The final rule is that, in this hemisphere, there is only room for one superpower. Hey, talk to Simon to decode money, power, and innovation. Subscribe to upgrade your perception of reality. Also, check the bio for mugs, assets, or to support the show. I have my little gremlins to feed. Click to watch another revealing story, and click the raccoon to subscribe. Have a Simon Durful day.